The following recording has been recovered from a collection of archived transmissions. Fragments of this report appear across decades of radio logs, space observations, and scattered photographs taken during early space missions. This is observation, not explanation. This is Conspiracies After Dark. Tonight's transmission examines a mystery sometimes referred to as the Black Knight Satellite. According to certain accounts, an unidentified object may have been orbiting Earth for far longer than modern satellites have existed. The earliest pieces of the story appear long before the modern space age. In the late 19th century, inventor Nikola Tesla reported receiving unusual radio signals while conducting wireless transmission experiments. Tesla believed the signals repeated in structured patterns. At the time, he wondered if they might originate from somewhere beyond Earth. Years later, other radio operators reported strange signals appearing briefly through the static. But in the early days of radio, unexplained transmissions were common. Equipment was experimental. Interference was everywhere. And the true source of many signals remained unknown. The idea of an object orbiting Earth, however, would not become possible until decades later, because in the early 20th century, nothing built by humans had yet reached space. That changed in 1957. When the Soviet Union launched Sputnik, the world entered the space age. Suddenly, objects circling the planet were no longer impossible. They were real. Radar stations began tracking satellites passing overhead. Most were easily identified. But occasionally, observers reported objects that did not appear on official launch records. Stories began circulating among amateur radio operators and early satellite trackers. Stories of something unknown, already circling the Earth. A silent object, high above the atmosphere. It was during this period that a name began appearing in articles and radio discussions: the Black Knight. According to the growing legend, the Black Knight satellite had been orbiting Earth long before the first human spacecraft were launched. Some versions of the story claimed the object might be thousands of years old. Others suggested it could be a relic left behind by an unknown civilization. A silent observer, circling the planet above the clouds. For years, the idea remained mostly within the world of speculation, until photographs began appearing. In 1998, astronauts aboard NASA's Space Shuttle Endeavour conducted a mission known as STS-88. During a spacewalk, cameras captured a series of images showing a strange, dark object floating above Earth. The shape appeared irregular, angular, almost mechanical. Against the blue curve of the planet, the object looked mysterious. When the photographs were released, they quickly spread across the early internet. To many viewers, the object appeared too structured to be simple debris. Some believed the images had finally captured the legendary Black Knight satellite. Others disagreed, because objects in orbit often appear distorted when photographed against the darkness of space. Perspective changes. Sunlight casts harsh shadows, and drifting debris can look much larger or more complex than it truly is. NASA later offered a straightforward explanation. According to mission reports, the object in the photographs was likely a thermal insulation blanket, a piece of protective material that had come loose during the spacewalk, floating freely above the shuttle. Orbital debris. But the explanation did little to quiet the mystery, because by that point, the legend of the Black Knight had already taken hold. Articles began claiming the object followed a strange orbit. Some said it emitted signals. Others suggested it might be observing Earth. The evidence supporting those claims remained uncertain, yet the story continued spreading across websites, documentaries, and late-night radio programs. Because sometimes a single photograph is enough to spark a much larger mystery. In truth, space surrounding the Earth is filled with thousands of objects, satellites, fragments of rockets, pieces of equipment drifting silently through orbit. Many appear unusual when photographed against the darkness of space. Shapes twist, shadows distort, and familiar objects can look completely unfamiliar from the right angle. Whether the Black Knight satellite was nothing more than drifting debris or simply a legend built from misunderstood signals and photographs, the story continues to circulate because the image still exists, a dark object floating above the Earth, captured for a moment before drifting out of view. For some observers, it remains evidence of something unexplained. For others, it is simply another example of how easily mystery can grow from uncertainty. But the question still lingers. If something truly had been orbiting Earth long before the space age, who placed it there, and why? For now, the answer remains unknown. The photograph remains archived, and the legend of the Black Knight satellite continues to drift quietly through the history of space exploration. This transmission will remain recorded until the next signal appears. This has been a recorded transmission